Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to People Perspective in the Pulse, where the mic stays open, the conversation stays real, and the poetry flows naturally. From headache to heartache to healing, headlines to home life, we're talking about it all. Action!
Action.
Oh, you're going to put it on the front. That's what you were saying. Jesus have mercy. I'm sitting here waiting on it. My bad. Look, let's get into it. I'm Chamber 7. This is. That was you.
Oh, Adrian Charlton.
We ain't cutting none of that either. We ain't gonna
This
cut
is
none of
known
that.
as Butterfly Flow. That's who this is. This is Butterfly Flow.
What's going on, y'all? We've just been sitting here chopping it up, acting silly. I've been in a pretty decent mood. Things have not been amazing for a while, because a season has changed. See what I did
Mm,
there? And that's what
yeah.
we're talking about right now. We're talking about seasons ending because for every change in a season, there has to be a season that ends and a season that begins. This right now is my season of just transitioning into something better by having a better attitude about it. I had to make a couple of adjustments, not only to my physical, but my mental, my emotional. I had to excommunicate some folks and some attitudes, including some attitudes of myself,
Mm,
and realize some adjustments that need to be made. So that is where it leads us to this subject today, which is seasons ending.
yes. And a lot of people hold on sometimes because reasons and seasons. It's a saying for a reason. So
Hmm. That's true. That's true. I
so,
often
so
hear people say that there's a reason for everything. Well, sometimes it might not be a good reason, but sometimes you ain't supposed to know what that reason is.
right, right. So and a lot of times people hold on longer than they should just because and that's another topic that we talked about, but I'm gonna bring it into this one
Okay.
if this, just because I think I need to.
Because
And
everything's gonna be full circle.
yeah, so there was a topic that we discussed how in relationships people say, I don't want to let go because I put in so much time.
Hmm.
And I always tell people, like, you can stay here and continue to hurt, or you can get over here and hurt, but heal from the hurt. So it's
Yeah.
up to you to decide what you want to do. People don't want to let go of that season because
Yeah.
in their mind, they've cultivated it, they've done it, and it's always something about what if this person does better without me than they were supposed to?
Right.
What if you do better without them?
Yeah.
Because as my son always tells me, because the saying is you can do bad by yourself. My son tells me, no, you can do good by yourself. So
That's right. That's right.
yes.
Um, Another caveat to that too is a season ending doesn't necessarily mean you have to leave a person either. I think that, and now don't get me wrong, I'm not disputing what you're saying. I'm
Hmm.
just saying that to look at all facets of it. I think I've heard people say, well, can a relationship succeed even after there's been some form of infidelity or cheating or disloyalty? And if I'm being honest, as a scientist, as an engineer, I would say, yeah, it can. It's just more difficult. But that also means that there has to be a season in that relationship that has to end. The version of that person that you had where there was no infidelity no longer exists. There is a new person now in your life, and you have to make the decision if you want to keep that person with you because you feel like they have enough indelible qualities that are worth keeping around. And if they don't, then you need to move on. I think a lot of people, and the reason I say that is because, let's say, for instance, you go through some form of infidelity in a relationship, right? And you do break up with that person and you move on. But if you haven't allowed that season of the hurt of that infidelity to die in the last relationship you were in, you are going to drag that baggage into the next relationship. And then you'll find yourself accusing a partner of doing something that they're not doing simply because that's what you saw in the last relationship. I've lived through that 100 times over, and
Yeah,
it's
and
just, you got to
I
let that go.
season ending, it's more of a, I guess it is a season ending. You're right. Um, they have to make it end, and they have to allow it to end and not carry it into the next thing, is what you're
Correct.
saying.
Correct.
Yeah, yeah, and
Correct.
that makes sense because sometimes people will carry that one thing that somebody did to them in junior high through every relationship onward, and they're waiting for little Susie or little Johnny to write somebody else a letter, which, social media, write somebody else a letter saying that they like them, it, and then they get upset because, oh, you don't only like me, but
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, just expound on that. What you mean when you say that?
which part? Oh, that wait, which
You
part?
only liking me.
Oh,
The part where you say, yeah, the part where you say you only like, well, how come you don't just like me?
man, listen. And you asked me that, you trying to set me up because you know how I feel about this.
I know.
So people go around in relationships and then they ask these questions
Hmm.
that they want you to lie about. And one of those is, do you still love this person?
Hmm.
Do you still like this person? And the person could be an ex, it could be childhood friend, it could be anybody. Do you still love or like?
Hmm.
I believe that they're lying when they say no,
I
because
believe that too.
love is continuous, love goes on. If you ever love someone, you will always love that person. You might not deal with them, you might not like them, might not move forward with them in any way, and may not ever want to contact them again. But it doesn't mean you don't love that person.
Right.
So people want to ask that question to be like, "Ooh, I'm the only one you love. I'm the only one you like. I'm the only one you see." But that's not real. That's not reality. If you ask me if I still love anybody that I love, that I dated, that I was married to, that I was with, yes, I
Hmm.
still love them. Would I ever be with them again? No. But and just
Because
like
that season that you had with them has ended.
absolutely. And I can
Yeah.
see them in a different season in a different way. And that's the thing. It's not just about ending the season. It's about also when you end that season, how do you, if you do, relate to them moving forward, if you want to.
I think that's why one of the big debates that usually goes around on these podcasts and social media a lot of times is when people ask the question, well, can you still be friends with an ex after you have started a new relationship? And I always say it depends on the level of maturity of both you and your ex. Because at the end of the day, I hate when men are like, well, yeah, if she's got a lot of male friends, this, that, and the other. No, you want her to have a male perspective because sometimes you'll say something to your partner and she might not readily understand it from you because of the intimate connection that you have, but she might hear it from somebody else and it'll make total sense to her because she'll be like, oh, is that what he's been trying to say? Well, how come he didn't say it like that? Well, maybe he did and you weren't listening because of who he is to you. Two people
Absolutely.
can say the exact same thing and you'll hear it differently.
And how many times have hell, I just did that the other day. I said, what does text mean? Because this dude tripping. I just got a question. What is he saying? What is he not saying? What is going on? And you do the same with me.
Absolutely. Because
Yes.
sometimes I might be blindsided. I like to ask from a female perspective, especially somebody like you who's going to approach it from a very logical standpoint, but still have an understanding of the emotional connection that's attached to it based on your own personal experiences that you've been through with your interactions with males. Sometimes you'll be like, yeah, no, she tripping, or no, I think this is what she's trying to say. You need to realistically examine how you might be accepting that. Because I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I am so blinded by who they are, I'm not hearing what they're saying.
And that happened.
Because what you doing text from my son means something different than a what you doing text from an intimate partner.
Mm.
What you doing from an intimate partner is I'm thinking about you and I'm just curious what you're doing at this moment that I'm doing something. But if like my son hits me up and he's like, yo, what you doing? I know that means you want something and you want to qualify that whatever I'm doing isn't important enough to interfere with what you want me to be doing when you ask me the next question you're gonna ask me. So I just go ahead and cut him off and be like, yo, what you want, man? but he and I have that kind of interaction that we can do that. But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
And I was gonna
yeah.
say something that went right out my head. Okay. And that's why, today we don't have anything written down. We ain't got definitions. We ain't got script. We just like, hey, we're gonna do this today and
hmm
see what happens.
Let it be a free flowing conversation of ideas that just kind of comes out because I think sometimes they get too rigid. And there should be some structure. I think our structure is just based on reminding ourselves what the main focal point is,
Hmm.
and then going from there. When I think of like, so for instance, when I think of a season, let's define that. A season to
Mm.
me personally, a season is when somebody has come into your life at an opportune time and they are the breath of fresh air for what you need in that moment. And sometimes a season, like I had a best friend, uh, and he and I were tight. This is my dog, and we had a 20-year run, and the season had to end because he got involved in a relationship, and he wanted to dedicate more time to that relationship, and I didn't want to be an interference to that relationship, so I felt like it was time for that season to end in our lives. There are some relationships that will last for extended seasons, but if we're being realistic, all seasons are eventually going to end one way or another, whether you die or whether they die or whether there's another significant trauma in their life that causes the change. At some point it has to end.
Yeah, and sometimes they have to end by force. So I also believe that there are a lot of times in life that we can't move forward with certain things because we haven't let go of certain things.
That's a
We
fact.
are When a chapter is supposed to close, when that season is supposed to end, sometimes we as people try to make it last longer than it should. And many people do that because, holding on because of whatever reason. And this could be friendships, relationships, family members. I know I ain't cut them off, but I don't fool with them. Imma tell you that about some of my family members because
I knew that's what you were gonna say.
'cause I don't have time. Like, we're not.
I do too. We're not doing that.
Mhm, mhm.
We're not doing that. I
Yeah,
think I think that's always been one of our resounding conversations is the fact that for the longest time, I people used to pick on me. I used to say nobody gets a buy. I don't care who you are. I will not tolerate your level of disrespect in no way, shape, form, or fashion. You will not interfere with my peace. I have very little of it, and the what little bit of it I have, I try to keep it hold of it as strong hold as I can. So if you come in here with any intentions of interrupting it or any ill will, you got to go.
yeah,
Plain and simple.
yeah. And also letting someone go. If somebody's telling you they gotta go, you need to, because we can go back to the ghosting, and I think I talked about this guy. He told me during that when we met, he was like, "I think I'm here for you for this season." Because I was going through a lot. I was recently divorced. I was taking my licensure exam. I had moved
Right,
back home with my parents. Like it was a lot going on.
right,
And he was like, I think I'm here with you for this season. And I was
right.
like, no, 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 no. We're gonna be together in this. No,
Ever.
yeah. He knew. I ain't gonna say forever. I'm a Gemini. I be wilding sometimes. But
Yeah, y'all do. That's facts. hmm
so
We cancers be over here like, no, we're finna lock it down for the rest of our lives. We're gonna do this. The Gemini be like, I don't know, I might change my mind tomorrow or now.
yeah, we'll be all in. Oh, that's great. And then be like,
15 minutes later, be like,
you know what? I thought about it.
I changed my mind. And you know what? That's the other thing too. I'm glad
Yeah.
you brought that up.
Mm,
When you feel the seasons starting to shift,
mm.
be able to, if you can't effectively communicate what it is you're feeling, at least communicate something. But don't act like nothing's happening. Nothing drives me more berserk than like you ever been with somebody, and again, we keep this as general as possible. It doesn't necessarily have to be an intimate relationship, but whether it be friend or family or intimate, if you notice something is off, I think the detriment to most relationships is seeing something off, knowing something's different, and then just not just it's no big deal. I listened to a story. This is a slight. We're taking a slight tangent.
Okay.
I listened to this girl tell a story. I think you sent it to me, as a matter of fact. The girl that said that there was a whole man living in her house, like frogging her at
Yes.
some point.
Yes.
Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, now how in the hell somebody just chill? And I'm so glad that at the end of that story, she was like, I'm reading somebody else's story because I was so mad at that black woman. Anyway, I was like, how a dude living in your house and you don't even know it? He in your closet. But she said a man had been frogging her for a while and like had notes and everything. He had been in there for weeks, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think the key factor here that's relatable to this situation is she made clear that she would walk in the room and the energy felt off,
Yes.
or something was misplaced, or a door she knew she closed was open. But
Mm-hmm.
what did she say she did? Just dismissed it,
Yes.
right? Now there's a I think there's a healthy line between mentioning every little nuance and mentioning something that you've noticed the trend of slightly changing. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And then if you're going to communicate that to your partner, it should not be with a hint of accusation. It should just be there's a difference between, so what made you decide to eat that? You don't normally eat that on a Thursday. That's accusatory. But if you
Yes.
say, I've noticed that you've changed your mind about that. I'm just out of curiosity, is something different? Like, is there a change in your diet or something like that? There's a
Mm-hmm.
difference in the way that you communicate it, the tone, the feeling, the inflection. Because I can guarantee you, as a man, you keep approaching him with an accusatory tone, and he's going to start hiding stuff from you, just not necessarily because he's hiding something, because he just don't feel like arguing with your ass every day
About nothing.
about nothing.
Yeah. So there absolutely is a way. And for me, like sometimes I have to tell my friends, I'm like, you know me, I ain't got no man. But so I tell my friends, like, if I'm feeling away,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be missing for a little while.
yeah,
I'm good though.
same,
So I
same.
just communicate that because sometimes I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
And instead of being with them and being snippy and having that attitude and, you
yeah,
know, not wanting to be in spaces, I'm like, hey, I'm not sure what it is right now, but it's something. And when you're in relationships with people, sometimes you can just say that.
hmm,
However, the caveat is there are people who are like, "What you mean? What do you? I need to know. I don't know what it is. I just said the words. I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm feeling something, and I will say more when I understand it."
right. Period.
Yeah.
I think one of the healthiest things I learned from a relationship, and it's one of the most beautiful practices that I've endeavored to keep in every follow up relationship that I have from now on. I was dating this one young lady. You know who I'm talking about when I say this, for off and on for almost a decade and some change. But one of the things that we made an agreement about was, how somebody says, "What's the matter?" and you don't know what it is.
Hmm.
So the first thing, their contractual response is always, "Oh, nothing." That drives me up the wall because
Right.
I'm a feelings person,
Hmm.
and I think it's based on my upbringing, my trauma, me being a cancer, whatever. If I ask you what's wrong, it's because that's when I notice the blip, and I need to know what is it that I'm feeling that has changed between us so that I can make note of it for the future. But if you
Hmm.
tell me nothing and then 3 weeks later you go, I just think it's funny how I'm going to lose my whole shit. I'm going to tell you that now. So, what we agreed on was, if you're feeling something and you don't know what to say, we had the agreement that you just tell me, hey, look, I'm feeling something. I don't know what it is. I need time to process it. Give me a moment.
Right.
My part of that agreement is to go, fair enough, and leave you alone. Your part of the agreement is to actively figure out what the fuck is wrong with you and then come tell me in a timely manner, but don't leave me in limbo for a year.
Right.
Because I think that is very detrimental to the relationship. An intimate relationship requires intimacy, and a lack of connection is the opposite of intimacy. Am I wrong?
No. I had to
Okay.
think. I was like, oh, that kind of
Yeah.
makes sense. So,
Right?
and I will say, and I will give you an example with me, because
Hmm.
sometimes, like I said, minute to minute, sometimes ain't nothing wrong with me. So I was dating this dude. We were sitting at his house. We were about to go out to eat or something.
Hmm.
And he got a phone call. And just because I am who I am, I'm ready to eat. I was singing and dancing. I love to eat. So I was ready. And then, like, get on the phone. He walked around the house. And I was like, and so I start thinking, I start looking at stuff. And my mood will change
Hmm.
in just because. So
Right.
it was like, get out the phone. What's wrong with you? Nothing. You ready? Yeah. I just want to know what's wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with me. You got quiet. Who was I gonna talk to? You on the phone. Like what? And then he just kept asking me. So me being who I am, we were in Virginia. And me and these Virginia men, we were in Virginia. I packed up my stuff. I was like, you know what?
I was literally just thinking that. You know what? You asked me one too many times. Now the
Yes,
nothing is something, and the something is you. I ain't got time for this. And
damn.
that's why I said, don't tell your partner nothing
If
because
it's not,
now,
unless it's something. But for me, it was nothing.
right?
And I kept saying, "There's not something's wrong with you. Got to be something wrong with you. You got quiet. There's nothing wrong with me. You keep on. I'm gonna go home. With just something wrong with you. All right. You know what? I packed my stuff up. Got in the car. Then he got in the car. It was like, well, I was just trying to talk to you, see what was wrong with you, and see what was. And I pounded on my head with the little rest thing in the middle. I say, nothing wrong with me. Get out my fucking car now, man.
Now, you know what's funny about that? I bet you people will ask him, well, what happened with that relationship? I don't know. Something happened to her and she was mad. Now it's your fault. And you done told this dude 19 times nothing was wrong.
Right.
And I've had that scenario. You know what? And I've had that scenario too. And I think, see, this is the reason why this works so well is because now we can show birth perspectives. That's
Mm,
not just women, that's men too. I've
mm.
had scenarios where sometimes I'm just quiet.
Introspective.
Yeah, my mind will be, I'm thinking of, I got 14 tabs open in here, right? So
Yes.
I'll be thinking about something and they'll be like, what's the matter? I'll be like, none. Because you're asking me what's wrong. You're not asking me what I'm thinking. Well, what you over there thinking? And then here's the problem. If you know your partner well enough, you know there's some things you can't tell them or they will never let that shit go.
Right. Right.
And it might be something brief. You might just be like, yeah, I was just having this thought about X, Y, and Z, but and then you throw it away, but they'll never forget it. Well, I remember that one time back in 1986, you mentioned, Lord Jesus, I should have never told you.
You ask. Don't ask me what I'm thinking if it's not, 9 times out of 10, I'm thinking about food. So you don't want to know what I'm thinking for real. It's either food, some work I need to do, when the next time I'ma dance. Like it's not a lot going on in
I'm,
here if
I'm
I'm
very
not working.
basic. I'm very basic. I'm thinking about what else I got to do, what I need to do to get at this bag, what little
Yeah.
projects I got stored up, what am I going to do next? I
But the
got
thing is,
this, and this to do.
right. So a lot of times, and this is not always, I'm just gonna say a lot of times, a lot of
Mhm.
insecure people like to know the truth because they think that everything that you react to, feel, project is about them.
Has something to do with them.
Anytime, and we've had this conversation plenty of times. Anytime somebody, I'd be like, yeah, I'm in a mood. Oh, I'm sorry, what I do? Why it gotta be about you? Why can't it be it rain today? Why can't it be the sun is shining? Like, why can't I just be in a mood? And if it, and those type of people, as soon as I get a little something of, oh well, what did I do? Did I do something? If if you did something, I'd have told you you did something. And a lot of the times, what comes with did I do something? That's one of the subtlest like hints of insecurity that a
Yeah,
lot of people don't pick up on. And a lot of people want to, keep going. Oh no, you didn't do nothing. And they're like, oh, but after that, oh, they don't care what's going on with you. And that's another part people don't pick up on. Like once they found out it has nothing to do with them, they don't care. Even though
not my problem.
you're still in the mood. You still got
Yeah,
something going on. But they're
right.
like, oh, it ain't got nothing to do with me. Oh, okay.
True. And I think sometimes people just want to know what's wrong with you in order to qualify if what's wrong with you is significant enough to interfere with what they want you for.
Mm.
So like, hey man, what's going on? Oh nothing, I'm chilling. You all right? Yeah. Okay, good. So check this out. I gotta do X, Y, and now all of a sudden that's what I'm saying, that's off the board. Now we can talk about whatever I wanted to talk about in the first place because I could give a shit what you wanted to do anyway. But I've seen that many times. Sometimes I just don't bother. If I see that that's where the conversation is going, I'll be like, yeah, I just got a couple of things I'm working on right now. My mind is, and I just let people know. And I think in this society, we have such predetermined schedules that
Mm.
that's why a season doesn't end. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying? Like we say, we've determined in our head, well, this is the next step in the rung of things that I was meant to accomplish based on my pre-prescribed plan. So if I end this season, I have to start that over again.
Mm.
Well, this isn't part of my plan, and I think that is what causes that anxiousness. Like a season at a job, you'd be like, "Yeah, but I had plans to like stay at this job until I retire." Okay, well maybe this ain't the job you were meant to retire from, homie.
Right.
Maybe it's supposed to be somewhere else.
And the best indication of a season ending or you have to move forward or let something go is how uncomfortable it gets. And I'm using uncomfortable lightly. I mean, when things just go awry and people still hold on, and it's like, and
Yeah,
I'm talking about because you brought up jobs, it's about jobs, relationships, um, family,
yeah,
everything. Like,
yeah.
and as it keeps getting worse and worse, and you're still holding on. And as I say, you holding on, and by the time everything slips through your fingers, you ain't got nothing left but the middle finger nail holding on to something. Because all the other fingers done slipped away. Sometimes you just gotta
That's
let
that.
stuff.
That's that monkey claw grip. Ay, ay,
Yeah, but ain't
ugh,
nothing but this finger holding on to the little tip.
I can't do it no more.
Yeah, and stuff keeps happening. And I tell people this all the time. The reason why, like, things keep happening, it keeps making you uncomfortable, it keeps changing. The reason why you're in a relationship and they do one thing, then they do something else. It gets worse and worse because you haven't left. And
Right.
so part of it is they do it because they can. Another part of it is it needs to be made so bad for you to leave to end that season. Like that's the only way you're gonna end it.
Yeah.
And I will say I've had that happen. I had it happen with a job. I was like, yeah, I got to go. I don't need because I'm gonna hurt somebody. And I've had that happen with at least two jobs in the since I've been out the military. I've had that. Like even because I was working at the prison. I had like you said, you have your time, like when you're gonna leave, all this stuff. I had my time, I had my schedule. I knew when I was gonna leave to just go and do my own thing, my private practice. And then my father passed and I was like, what am I waiting for? Why am I waiting here
For
to
what?
do what I want to do? Because
Because time's gonna keep going on, no matter what.
seasons end. And that was a ending for me. And like a month later, I just quit my job and just did my business full time because I was like, I'm waiting for something to end or to find an
Yeah.
end date or to do something. And I know if I'd have kept waiting, I'd have pushed it and I'd have pushed it, and then bad stuff might have started happening because I had already
Right.
said I didn't need to be there.
Right.
So
Because
a
at
lot of
that
people,
point,
Mm-hmm.
At that point, the season has ended, the flowers are dying, but you're still there trying to feed off of vegetation that's no longer there anymore.
Yes. Yeah. And that's
It's
what people
gone.
don't realize. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the same with relationships. Maybe
There
what you
you
needed in that moment was there. And you know what? I'll be honest. I look back. I've got a much more mature perspective on the relationships that I've had to end, even the ones that weren't what I would consider the significant ones, the long ones,
go. Hmm.
where I just I realized that I learned a lot from each one, even the ones that ended poorly. Because even in those, I asked myself the question, were there indications that I should have ended this sooner? And the only reason I'm feeling this level of heartbreak is because I held on too long. And in most cases, the answer is yes. There were plenty of signs I should have left. There were
Yeah.
plenty of signs I shouldn't have started it in the first place. If I'm being
That's
honest,
yeah.
I ain't had no business dealing with you at all. And if somebody said red pill, you back with this person, or blue pill, you go back in time and you start over with them, I'd take the blue pill in a heartbeat and walk past you like I didn't even see you. Hey, what's up?
Yeah.
Hey, what's up?
Yes.
I don't need no memories of you. I don't need to move on. I need to just keep moving. And that's no hate, hurt, or, I would like to think that the seasons I have ended with people have made them better. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm starting to learn not to hold as much animosity towards those who just chose to end their season with me. Okay,
Yeah.
clearly I was not serving you. I think, and if I'm being real about it, my frustration with the seasons that ended with people that I knew, and I'm talking about male friends too. I've had
Mm-hmm.
some I've had some friends that just disappeared, stopped answering phone calls. And my only frustration is, and I've said this my whole life, if you got a problem with me, just say it to my face, is nobody has ever been human enough to just say, hey, look, Sean, this is what I don't like. And this is why I don't think we should continue talking anymore.
Right.
Okay. You have that right to feel that way. Hey, look, Sean, I don't like the style choices that you've been making when it comes to your shoes, and it interferes with my feng shui, and I don't want to talk to you no more. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
You
And
have
like
that right.
and some of the people, I believe some of the people that leave that in the season, some of them have to leave you because you won't leave them. And I'm speaking not just, about you, but me and other people.
Absolutely me.
Sometimes people have to leave. And even though it hurts you that they're gone, they had to leave for you to grow, for you to move forward. Because one, if not, they were gonna keep punishing you. You were gonna keep hurting, you're gonna keep
Yeah.
going through stuff, and you're not able to the best analogy I've heard was about the rocket. They say, how the rocket ship goes up and it drop off
Like a
along
booster.
the way. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta drop them pieces for you to move forward. And hopefully you move forward. Because
Yeah.
sometimes a season will end for people and they want that season back so bad that they don't move forward. They end up being stagnant, longing for that, and that's done. You'll never find that person again. Even if you reconnect with that specific person, you will never get that version of that person again. And we
Same.
talked about it before too.
Yep. Yep. Because I guarantee you, if any of the people in my past were to meet me now, this
Mm,
version of me is not the same as the version that you left. I
absolutely.
guarantee you. I
It's
guarantee you. Because after the season ends,
mm-hmm.
there has to be a shedding. There
Ooh,
has to be a removal. The dead parts have to be scraped away in order to reveal the new cells that come up afterwards. And that's
yeah.
a cyclical pattern that's shown throughout nature in every single facet. And if you are unwilling to scrape those parts away properly and clean it out of your system and recognize, hey, Sean, maybe you shouldn't do that again. Maybe you shouldn't, follow that same pattern because you see what it cost you before.
Mm-hmm.
So to have those same individuals re-enter into my life and say, hey, how you doing? What's going on? I'll be like, yo, what's up? Oh, you not mad at me? because being mad requires energy, and I don't waste my energy on anything that's not generating me more peace.
Absolutely. And,
Period.
and as you talk about that, like when I get mad at people, like it could be a week later and I done
Hmm.
forgot. I know I don't mess with you no more, but I might forget why I was mad. So
Yep.
and that's the thing, I don't have space in my brain to
Mm-mm.
hold grudges. I
Nope.
can just look at you, and some people I can look at and not look at. Like if I decide that it's over, I can not know you. Like it will literally delete file out of my system, and
Yep.
I will literally look at you like, who? Like, dang, I know them from somewhere. I don't even. Yeah, go
And
about my.
some people will end a season with you, not necessarily because they have to end it with you, but
Mm,
because of what the people around them are telling them they should, what the people around them are telling them what season they should be in,
mm,
and that you shouldn't be a part of that season with them. So it might not be beneficial to them,
right.
but because of the respect they have for those people that outweighs the connection they have with you, they will
Hmm.
end your season. And you have to be okay with that,
Yeah.
because a connection requires two or more individuals. And that
Yeah.
connection cannot continue if only one side of it is being fed.
Right. And and it's probably better for you to be like, oh, okay, that's what's up.
I'll have to be honest that I think, and this must be the new season that I'm in,
Mm,
is I'm recognizing that one of my favorite quotes in the world, I think I'm gonna get it tattooed on my body, is "Memento Mori," and it says, "We all." It's loose translation is "We all have to die,"
mm,
and then I think the opposite one is "Memento Vita." I'm probably saying it wrong, but the loose translation of that is "So you should live," meaning that because you know there's an expiration date, you need to use what you have during the time frame available to you before the expiration date. In other words, whether you want it to or not, it's going to end.
yeah.
So, in knowing that information, what are you going to do with the time you have available before it ends? Because whether it ends or not is not optional, it's going to.
Right.
Perfect example is your parent is most likely to pass before you.
Hmm.
So, what are you doing in the time frame that you have with said parent to cherish them while they're here before they pass on?
Yeah. Yeah.
Or the time you have with your kids, yeah, you want to make sure that they have all the food and shelter and blah, blah, blah. So you out there hustling and grinding and getting the work in. But they're not going to remember the lights that you kept on. They're going to remember the times that you played video games.
Yeah.
They're going to remember the times you tossed the ball around outside, the
Yeah.
times you sat down and explained to them what an internal combustion engine is. I had that beautiful moment with my son. I mean, it was 11 o'clock at night. I was tired as hell. But me and him stood in the kitchen for another 2 hours, and he just asked me questions. And then it dawned on me, memento mori. Like all the stuff that I've learned about mechanics and mechanical stuff, he has probably not learned it. Or if he has, he might have a different version of it that he might not have gotten because he hasn't heard it from me yet.
Hmm.
So I took the time to spend time with him, talking to him about that, so he can get that from his dad. Those moments he will remember. He ain't
Yeah.
gonna remember the last child support payment I gave to his mama, but he will remember that.
Right. Right. And we are past all of those payments. So
Oh, long past.
look, I just had to throw that out there because people,
That's right. They be like, hold on, he got young kids? No, I got young kids, but them is grands. I can send they behinds home. Yes, Lord. I had him over recently, and boy,
Mhm.
I tell you, one of them can't sleep for nothing. Legs all over here. I was like, if you don't move.
That's how they sleep. That's what they do.
No, the other one sleeps like a board. He twins, but one of them sleep like a board. He be in that spot and he stay right in that spot. The other one, no matter how many times I put him this way, he slowly creep a leg over here and hand in my face. I was like, if you don't get off me,
The little one that sleeps like a board is an anomaly. They normally
uh,
sleep all over you.
all over the place. But
Yeah.
I think it's also something about your energy that they kind
Mm,
of gravitate to you. And that's interesting because again, um, as one season ends, a new one begins.
yes.
So the season of me raising my son to be a man
Mm,
hasn't necessarily ended. It's transition, but now I'm in a new season of passing information on to him as a man who is training men.
mm-hmm.
And there are days I can see it in his face. He's confused. And I recall the times when I felt like that. And I'd be like, I recognize that. Look, let me help you out, bro. Do X, Y, and Z. And he'd be like, wow, Dad, that's brilliant. I'd be like, you don't know how many times I messed up to get that little tidbit of information on me.
And the fact that he's listening, because some kids don't listen. You don't know. Like, I
Yeah,
had you. What do you mean? I've been your
right.
age.
Which is
I've been there. I've done that. And
what?
yeah,
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I don't even know. You know
I
what?
was,
Today, my mind has been all over the place. I don't know. I start talking and it just goes away. I was gonna talk about kids. I was gonna say something about you and your son. A lot of stuff came, and then you said, "Huh?" And I said, "Huh?"
that's exactly how it goes. I swear. I'll start up, and you know what? That's the way my day today has been. I'll start with one thing, and I ended up doing four other things. But I was so thankful I got it all done.
Yes, yes. And so with seasons ending, you have new beginnings, and you're able to have those new beginnings because sometimes you have to move. You have to end something to be able to start something else. And
Hmm.
that's literally a part of life. And I'm going to go into my little butterfly thing, which is why, the people always think that I'm a butterfly, but the butterfly goes through those phases over and over. Sometimes I have to, I'm going to go back to Justin Timberlake, T.I. Uh, the old me is dead and gone. You know, dead and gone.
No.
Oh, I've been traveling on this road too long, trying to find my way back home. So I love that song because
Yeah.
sometimes you have to kill off the old you, i.e., ending a season of you, to start another one. And as you start that other one, you start all over from the beginning of it all. You have to start as the caterpillar. You have to gather that information. You have to get get to know everything you need before you become the butterfly. And then you're the butterfly again. And guess what? It starts all over again.
Right. The pattern starts over again. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's if
And I tell you, a lot of people are just afraid of that part
yes. Yes. Some people just stay stuck in one of the first two stages and they don't get to the butterfly stage. Because
because
if
that
you
part
get
sucks.
yeah, because if you get to the butterfly stage, then you
Mm.
realize there's more to do.
Yeah.
And then you start all over again. But some
Yep.
people stay stuck in those other stages because of a season ending that had it to end that
Yeah.
they want to hold on to. And it goes into everyday life like empty nesters, going through a divorce, having a child, getting married. Like people don't think about the happy things that are seasons ending and something
Yeah.
starting new. They always think of the bad stuff. But
Yeah.
new job, like everything that you do in life, part of it is something about a season ending
Hmm.
for that new thing to start. Because you have to stop something before something else can start.
That's true. You should. Yeah. In order to make it more, in order for the experience to be more ethereal, in order for you to feel more a part of it,
Yes.
connected to it, you have to let go of whatever was then, in order to be like the high school, quarterback who's still holding on to that moment. You know what I'm saying? They grasp that moment, but they miss all the other moments while holding on to that moment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were the all-star quarterback, but did you pass on that moment to your son so that he can become the all-star quarterback, or to your daughter so she can become the captain of the basketball team? Did you pass on the lessons that you learned to become the all-star quarterback to somebody else? So that, because like one of my favorite moments is there are things that I was unable to do, but now I have the honor and privilege of watching my son do. His relationship with his girlfriend is very rocky some days, and no disrespect to them by telling their business, but one of the things I told him straight out, I said, "Yo, homie, you better stick it out with this one, cause yeah, there ain't shit out here. I'm 48 years old. I can tell you that right now. There ain't nothing out here for you right now. There's nothing better than having somebody that understands you and is willing to put up with you and deal with all your mess and still wants to come home to you, making the decision every single day, whether they want to or not, that they want to be with you." So the
Mm-hmm.
season that had to end for him was that season of I'm gonna move from this to this to this, and one of the most beautiful things I get to watch is watching his relationship flourish, where mine at that stage in my life when I was his age would fail, and
Mm.
he's doing a magnificent job. And now I have started the season of being the relationship coach for him and saying, hey, look, sometimes you need to go home and talk to that woman like a grown man and stop acting like a spoiled child. And, she's got to take a step back and recognize you the man of the house and that kind of stuff. So I'm very, very happy to have entered into this new season of watching him and thankfully, maintain a very healthy, happy relationship with him and his children. And he takes being a father very serious because he got
Good.
some badass children some days. Well, I tell you what, Lord,
They still little.
ma'am, if I told you some of the stuff that these two did, you would swear I was talking about two teenagers. I promise you. I promise you. One of them is a pickpocket. The other one is a lawyer. It don't matter what you tell him. Put that down. I was just. Is that what I asked you? Just. Hey,
Yeah, I mean, yeah, shoot.
I'm
Look,
looking forward to that season ending. When do y'all get to the season where you start mowing the lawn?
when another like 7 years, 10 years.
Nah, that's too much time. I'm gonna give them about 6 years when they tall enough to reach the
I
first
was
rung
thinking
on
this
the
because I was like,
lawnmower.
maybe this height. That's how old I was when I was mowing the lawn. I was this height, pushing it. So, but I was gonna say, I'm gonna go back to when you went to the high school, and all I could hear was 50 Cent. Damn, homie, in high school you was the
You was the
man.
man, homie. What the f- happened to you?
They didn't let that season in. That's what happened. They wanted to go back
Facts.
to that instead of taking that to parlay into something else. They didn't want that season to end, but it had to. You had to graduate.
I'm gonna
So
tell you what's messed up. That's where I got that from. I was listening to G Unit this week, and that song came on. I was like, "Oh, damn, homie! In high school, you was the man, homie. What the fuck happened to you? Sickness and dead up when it comes to cheddar." I'm sorry. Yeah, that's hilarious because that's exactly where I got that from. I was just listening to it yesterday.
yes.
Right.
Okay. Well, we're
Yes.
gonna we gonna end this with apparently 50 Cent. Yeah, 50 Cent be wilding on IG. Oh, we ain't gonna get into it because we don't want him to come for us. But he's a cancer though. You know how y'all do.
Yes. That's why he and I linked so well. Yes, he's a businessman.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
He's
That
something
third
else.
50. So seasons ending. Sometimes they have to, sometimes you're forced to, but best believe if when it's time to, it's gonna be uncomfortable and you just gonna have to move.
Yeah, and I think that the major lesson to learn is a couple things. With every season ending, there's a season that's beginning, and you can't fear the ambiguity of a new season beginning without anticipating the greatness that can come of it, that
Mm,
newness. You know what I'm saying? I think too many people hold on to the season ending so much that it makes the next season beginning fearful because you're already fearing when the new season is going to end without enjoying the time frame in the beginning.
right,
That new feeling that I can't wait to get home to do this. I'd miss those days, you know what I'm saying? Because you're too busy wondering what's going to happen here.
right.
You can't go to a new job wondering when you're going to get fired every day. You can't, go into a new relationship wondering when he or she is going to end up doing you dirty. No, you got to go into it with a clear mindset that everything is going to go well. And if it goes bad, enjoy the times that you did have. And when it goes bad, get out when you see it. Plain and simple.
Yeah. Yeah. So what shirt you got on today? We gotta do our shirts today.
You good, bro? For mental
Okay.
health, men's mental health awareness. Because there were a lot of days I was not good. I got this joint from a place called Theratees.
Mm,
I thought it was kind of dope. online for a long time, and then I actually shot a message to the owner. I told him, "Yo, this shirt is dope. It's all get out." So I support them as much as you can. Just your mental health means a lot. And I actually had to remember I was saying I had to make a couple of adjustments. I actually started taking vitamins to help get my wellness up, to get my thought process right, because I was spiraling. There were days I was spiraling. I'd disappear for months. You'd be like, "Yo, you good? Put up a signal flare, or something. I ain't
Yeah.
heard nothing from you, bruh." So yeah, I'm still here, still grinding, still making waves.
Okay. And for today, I have a mental health shirt today too. I have
What
on
you?
what does it say? Real healing where mental health meets the big screen.
Okay.
So I
Yeah,
had yeah, with REEL and the little thing.
I see that. Yeah.
So I had this made. I was I think it was last year at the Hayti Heritage Center in Durham. They had a short film festival, and two of the films were on mental health. So I had this
Okay.
shirt made because they called me to be a moderator. So I was moderating for those two films, and I got to speak with the people who made the films and how they made and why they made it and all that stuff. So we watched the films, and then we had a question and answer panel.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's dope.
yeah,
That's dope. That's all right.
yeah. Let's do a little
Yeah.
something here and there. So so I guess that's it on we
And
call it
absolutely.
ending, but we talked about a whole bunch of other stuff. Go ahead.
I mean, yeah, because I think we want them to understand the diversity of what we mean. And if anybody has questions, comments, concerns, complaints, bitches, gripes, moans, whatever, send them to us. Let us know what you think. If you've got a season that's ending that you're curious about, or ask more questions about what are the indications of a season ending,
Mm.
feel free to reach out to us and let us know.
Yes, and I'm gonna take the compliments. Chamber is gonna take the bitches' gripes and complaints.
I'll take them. Bring them to the
Also,
complaint department.
yes, and if there's anything you want us to talk about, again, if you have questions or anything, let us know. If you have a scenario you want us to go through, send it to us. We'll go through it and get it back to you. And for those, we'll try to do those in a timely fashion because we
Absolutely.
pre-record. But you send us a question and we
We
can
gonna
get
answer it.
we might have a whole just day of answering questions, and
I would
we'll
love that.
get
Ooh,
that up. Yeah, we
that
gotta
would
get
be dope.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
All right.
I'm ready, and we can just
I'm ready.
do. Yeah, we can record it, answer the questions, and that'll be the whole show. So yeah, we like to talk to y'all. We like talking
Like to
to each
talk to
other, but
y'all.
we like to talk to y'all too.
Reach out to us and let us know what's up.
Yes. Thank you again for watching People, Perspective, and the Pulse. Reminding you to like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, bring a friend, and let's do it again. Thank you again. Bye.